Good morning. I'm at my grandma's this morning, so obviously very different backdrop. We've had just a nice kind of chilled out morning. We've just been sat having a chat with our teas and coffees, and we're about to go and start doing things for the day. So we've got a couple of stops to make. We're going seeing some family. So I need to grab cards and things to drop off with various family members. But apart from that, I'm not really sure what the rest of the plans are. I'm just going along with what I'm told to do, basically. But yes, I didn't show my crochet last night because I'd left it to the side. But I've got a little bit more done. I did some in the car, although I did realise I'd gone wrong last night and had to pull back. I counted, I think it was about 400 stitches I had to pull back. So that was fun, but I've got a little bit further, but I couldn't do as much crochet in the car as I wanted to because it got dark very quickly. But yes, no, we did manage to get here, and yeah, it's been really nice so far. So I'm not gonna just stay too long this morning because we do have to get up and get going. So Advent time. And day 8, escaping the wargs. Okay. I will say as well, last night when I was reading the yesterday's chapter, it was the one with the riddles, and there are some in the book that aren't included in the film. So as I was reading them, my dad and I were kind of trying to figure them out, and the film ones were, like, I know the films very, very well, so I knew all those anyway, but there were some that weren't in the film. One of them was really obscure. We were never going to get that one. There was another one where we both came up with the same answer, but it wasn't the one in the book. So we came up with it at the same time, but it wasn't the right one. So we've decided that's an acceptable alternative. And then there was another that we didn't get, but actually we thought was quite clever. So I'm not going to spoil what they are in case anybody wants to read the books. But yeah, I do like a good riddle. So escaping the wargs is today, and we are sticking with the dark theme because the wargs, I assume. But this is a really, really nice grey, and we've got just still ever so slight hints of green. Actually, that's coming through quite nicely. So just slight lighter hints in it, and then we do have teeny tiny bit of green still there. So I am so looking forward to seeing how these work up. As I say, I'm going to knit these rather than crochet because I think that'll show the tones of the yarn a bit better. In fact, I'm actually going to put this back in the door. With being away, I want to make sure that I keep them all in the right orders and I don't mix them up. So, oh no, I have to, can I get it back in? Oh yeah, there we go. So I am going to keep those in their respective doorways so that I don't muddle them all up. My voice is really strange this morning. And then obviously we've got the Peppa Pig calendar, obviously. What date are we on? The 8th. It got a bit smushed in the bag. So there we go. I have had to send my my birthday wishes to Penny while I'm not there. So they are birthday wishes from afar, a few hundred miles afar. Oh, this one's going to be awkward, isn't it? But I will give her lots of cuddles and treats when I get home. And oh, that's a little drummer. A little drummer for today. So one thing I do believe we are going to be doing while we're here is a bit of knitting, because my mum's about to start a sweater as well, but it's a little bit of an interesting pattern. It's definitely one that's a bit technical. You can't just read it and go. It takes some concentration for this one. So she and I are going to be reading through it later and making sure that we figure out all the technicalities of the pattern because she wants to get a start on it. So yeah, we will be doing some fiddly cable work later. So I'll definitely see if I can get a little bit of that for one of the clips. But yes, I will have to cut this slightly shorter than normal so that we can get on with the day. So I will check in later. Bilbo finds himself on the correct side of the Misty Mountains, which is very lucky. He figures that out by the position of the sun. But then, of course, he needs to find the dwarves. He's got the ring ready just in case he needs to either go back into the tunnels or turn invisible. But he hears voices, so he follows them and finds the dwarves arguing, as they are in the film, about whose fault it is that Bilbo isn't with them. And you've got them all saying, you know, well, I didn't see where he went and I don't know where he vanished, it's not my fault. And if he's back in the tunnels, I'm not going back in there to get him, which Gandalf isn't too pleased about how ready they are to leave him behind. But Bilbo slips off the ring and says, it's okay, I'm here. And actually his skills as a burglar and his sneaking ability, his reputation very much goes up there with the dwarves, because they do have someone on watch as well, and none of them saw him. So they're all very impressed at how stealthy he was able to be. And it turns out they were in the tunnels for about 2 days, but they're far too aware of the danger to risk stopping and resting and getting things to eat. So they make their way very quickly away from the tunnels, and they keep just trying to put as much distance between them as possible. And then they hear a howl and they realise that there are wargs nearby. So up they go into the trees so that they're not spotted, and the wargs arrive, and they actually can talk in the books, although only Gandalf can understand them. But Gandalf realises that they're talking about a human camp nearby that they and the goblins are planning to ambush. So Gandalf's a little concerned about this because it looks like they're going to attack this camp. So this is where he starts setting fire to pine cones and throwing them on the ground, and they set the wargs' fur on fire. There's a absolute chaos, which then attracts the goblins that are trying to find them for escaping the mines. So the wargs are running around all over the place, they're abandoning ship. But the goblins arrive, and they're actually a little bit more clever than the films give them credit. They start to find sticks and twigs, and they arrange them around the bottom of the trees and start smoking Bilbo, the dwarves, and Gandalf out in the trees. So they're actually now struggling to breathe through all the smoke, and that's when the eagles arrive. So in the film, Gandalf summons them, but in the books, they just hear all this commotion, and they're not the biggest fans of goblins, so, you know, they're quite happy to help out Bilbo, the dwarves, and Gandalf, and they are actually a friend of Gandalf anyway. So that's when they start to carry them to safety, much to the annoyance of the goblins. But they are now safe, away from the wargs and the goblins, and we will find out what is next in their journey tomorrow. Oh, good evening. It's been a really long day. I don't know what time is it? I think we're about quarter to 12, quarter to midnight, something like that. But yeah, we've done a lot of kind of pottering around and running a few errands and things today. In and out. And I know I've only been here just over 24 hours, but I can hear my accent has just come straight back. And I think it's because you know, I grew up here, so this is my kind of original accent. But I can just feel it's come straight back. So when I go back down south on on Sunday, everybody's gonna look twice at me. But this happens every time. Every time I come back, it just reverts straight back to broad northern. But it is quite funny because a lot of people that I know now knew me after it had softened a bit. So when it comes straight back, everybody goes, oh. But yes, we've done a lot of pottering around today, but one of the highlights is we had a chippy tea, which I know sounds really minor, but it's the one thing I do really miss is my favourite chippy. Because I mean, it's nothing revolutionary. It's not going to win any awards anytime soon, but it was the one I had growing up, so there's a lot of nostalgia there for me. And I was happy with my chippy. I was dead happy with that. So we've spent the evening doing a bit of knitting, and actually watching The Hobbit, which wasn't planned. It wasn't, I promise. It just happened to be on, but it was 5 armies, and we only started halfway through, and it was only really background while we were all doing stuff, so it doesn't count. So I've finished An Unexpected Journey, so I'll be watching Desolation of Smaug at some point when I get home, and then obviously it'll have to be 5 because I wasn't really properly watching, so I will still be watching it in a week or two. But yeah, we were doing some knitting. I got one complete section of the next sleeve done on my cardigan, but I realised I've forgotten to bring the beige mohair, which I could have sworn I'd put it in the bag, but apparently I didn't. So I can't actually do any more on that because I've reached the end of that section. So I'm gonna have to leave that till I get home now, and I'm just gonna have to keep working on my crochet. But I've been helping Mum out because she has started a sweater, but it's a cabled sweater, and it's a bit more complicated than some of the stuff she's done before. So she started her gauge swatch, but the sweater's knit in the round, and the cable bit of the gauge swatch is worked flat, so we do have to reverse the chart pattern. So I was sat there with it like that, kind of figuring it out and translating it to Mum so that she knew what to knit. But she's getting on with it. So hopefully at least by the end of this weekend she should have the gauge bit done, and then we know whether she's good on the gauge. So yeah, it should work out okay. But reversing the cable to 10:30 at night was just a little bit of a stretch for my brain power. But we've already planned out some of what's happening tomorrow. We're going visiting somebody, and we're going to the pub in the evening for a carvery, which I'm dead excited about. This is a pub we used to go to every so often, and I've not been in years, so that should be quite a nice one. And who doesn't love a carvery? So I'm quite looking forward to that. And yes, I will have to do a bit more just on my crochet now, because that's the only one I've got that I can work on now. I can't believe I've forgotten that mohair. I thought I'd put it in. I must have put it down somewhere, but not in the bag. I'm gonna have to make sure I know where that is when I get home. But I haven't quite finished today's chapter. I've finished some of it, but this one is a little bit longer than the ones we've had so far. So I do need to just... I've read most of it. I read most of today's chapter, but I do just need to finish it off. So I'll do that. I'll do that just before I go to sleep. Although I'm not going to be up too long because I'm really shattered. I'm really tired right now. But it has been a very nice day, despite the weather. It's been awful weather. It's absolutely chucked it down all day. But yes, I'm going to finish my reading and fall asleep, probably quite quickly. But yes, that is all for today, and I will see you in the morning.